to answer your question about archiving, we have seen growth in archiving over the years. It's always been a best practice, but it's not one that a lot of organizations have really pursued. We're seeing more doing that now, and there are a number of drivers for archiving. The traditional one has been in less heavily regulated organizations, it has been legal issues, being able to do early case assessments, being able to do legal holds, being able to do e-discovery and so forth. And that's going to continue to be really a primary driver for archiving. In more heavily regulated organizations, those in financial services, healthcare, life sciences, energy, and so forth, those with specific governmental requirements to retain data, we see that as the primary driver, particularly in financial services with the SEC and FINRA really driving those requirements to retain email, text messages, communications with clients of any kind, advertising, et cetera, et cetera. We are seeing some additional drivers. We're seeing more interest over time in using archiving in a proactive way, being able to extract intelligence from the archive. Because if you look at what an archive contains, it's not just a record of all of your emails or documents or what have you. It also contains information about the various processes and information flows within your company. So for example, you could, a sales operation could get into the archive and say, okay, let's look at the amount of time it takes between a customer inquiry and a response to that inquiry. Let's look at the type of inquiry. Let's look to see if there's any correlation between how quickly our salespeople respond to prospects and customers and the extent to which they renew their subscriptions. So there's a lot of intelligence that you can gather out of the archive that's applicable to sales, to marketing, to HR, to finance. There's a lot of intelligence within the archive that today organizations really aren't tapping. They're starting to do that. They're starting to use a big data approach, looking at analytics, and really trying to get more value out of the archive. Now, the traditional defensive role of archiving is going to remain, where you have to keep records to satisfy legal and regulatory obligations, but that focus on business intelligence in the archive is really growing from what we've seen in our research.